Stay sleeping. Oh. Hello again, YouTube. What's up? What's going on? What's up, William? Number one tree tiger. I dig it, William. How we doing, fellas? How's your weekend going? I spilled coffee all over my notes on the way out. And it's smeared. Look at this. It just smeared all the ink. Took every page. Damn it. Whatever. The world's against me today. No. Nuh-uh. You do not. So that's what was in the box. Right there. Did you see it? Yeah. You want to see it? You want to see it? Really, Greg? Well, pop off of it and come back in, and let's see if it works, brother. That's wild. I've had mine do that though before. John Bob, what's up, brother? Chris, how are we? Yeah, that's what showed up, man. That blew my mind. And give you a look at this, because it turns out these are on sale right now until sometime in January, or maybe it's the beginning of January. I'm not sure, but he's got a sale on these right now. So if you want one and you've been wanting one, might as well get it for a discount right now, or right after Christmas. But yeah, this is Greg Brown's Ballard. Just enjoy a few berries before we talk with accent. Oh, right on, Dad. So I was stoked after I cracked it open. Was like, and I had to. You gotta customize it a little bit. So we got that sticker. Live the tree life. Here's the good one. That's Dano and Greg. Oh, so yeah, pretty sick. But yeah, it's got. Actually, let me show you probably the most important part I should have shown you. Right on, sweet. Right on. Alright, so there's the info for the Ballard. If you're looking to get one, there it is. There's a phone number. I'll kind of turn it in case the phone's a little jacked up. I think out of all that, you should have been able to get it. So, damn, Greg, that's heavy. So, there's differences here, and I see them immediately. So, my Ballard that I've been using, how many years has it been, Greg? It's been, man, it's maybe been, I'm thinking like 5 years. But I used one for about, say, about 5 years. On mine, it's a bit different. Let me see if I can get a piece of that stuff that I used to. Where's that at? I had a little piece of it here somewhere, where I could show you what I used. Dang it! What did I do with it? I probably threw it away or something stupid. Well, yeah, we ain't doing that. I don't think. Dang. That's gone. But son of a gun. Wish I knew what I did with it. I probably used it on something. Oh, my knee just came out of place. Been acting up like crazy. Ah, oh, there it went. I think. No, not all. Whatever. It'll go back eventually. Ah. But 7 years. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 7 years. So I believe my Ballard is more of it's. I think the original one that I have is just the inside tube. So it may be sleeve too, but the diameter is more like this inner one, and my pins are much smaller. I think it's the same length here. It has a single connection point at the base, and I use a small ratchet strap right here. Instead of this one has a different setup where you have connection points there and there for a ratchet strap. Not to mention the teeth. Mine is flat on the back, just a flat chunk of metal, and I put this rubber padding that's like a tire tread. It's sticky, and I cut a section out and put it in there that covers the whole thing, so that when it goes up against the tree, it kind of sets a bit soft and like grips it some. So my trick to it always has been, they're heavy, they're hard to manage, so I'll put a little ratchet strap around the tree and almost get it tightened down so there's a little gap behind the strap, and then I'll take and hold it open and slide this up in there, and the little ratchet strap will hold it up on the tree so that you can position and hook your big one up and get a good bite on it and adjust it and stuff. So yeah, stoked on it. Really, really stoked on it. So this also, I believe, has a bigger tube. So you have a bigger circumference to rig from. The bigger and more, I guess as the circumference gets bigger, the less likelihood for pigtailing happens. When you're rigging and you got it hooked up and you end up, after a couple pieces, you look back and your rope all of a sudden is like got all these weird little twists in it, and after you try to rig, you almost get your fingers. It can be scary. But you get this kind of thing where it's like all wadded up from a porter wrap a lot because of the sharp bend that it makes as it goes in. But the Ballard, you don't. And now with it being a wider, a bigger diameter, so it's going to help with that coiling, and it's going to give an even, like, each wrap now makes even more friction onto the rope. So stoked on that. Um, I think he kind of rounded these off a little more. I believe mine are a little bit more blunt. I kind of like that. I never noticed that. And these prongs are longer too. And I really like that because when you wrap a piece up and you go to lock it off, as you go to lock it off, you just make a half hitch the back way and it bites down. And then you run one over this way, you do a half hitch, and that's how you lock a rope off. Like, that's how I always do it. I guess you could technically just keep the rope over there, like on the thing, but usually I put it back, or whichever way you want to do it, and then you just pop them off. But I like these being longer. You can put a couple locks onto it, as opposed to mine are a little bit shorter. So digging that. Oh God, my knee is really bugging me right now. Arrest love dinosaurs. Oh, right on. That's awesome. I'm glad you enjoy it. Yeah, Greg is absolutely the man, and yeah, I don't even know what to say, man. I love the fact that we have two Ballards now, because there would be situations where I needed to lock or to use two different rigging systems, and I would have to use a porter wrap with it. But I'm like, if that's the worst, I got it. I'll make that work. So I always just did that, made it work. This was the last thing I ever expected to show up to my door. So Greg, you blew my mind. This thing, it doesn't get any better. So for what you get here and the work it goes into it and the durability, like mine is the one that I've been using for the past 7 years. There's nothing wrong with it. The only thing that's wrong with it is I drilled a hole into it because I don't think I have that in here. Maybe I do. Maybe it's right here. Let me show you. I had this. Is that right? Yeah. Yeah, this is it. Oh. So at one point, and I'm gonna redo this and rethink it, but it's just hard to even want to do this setup because now I have a CMI rope jack and it works so good on this that it's hard to want to use anything else. Jimmy Goulash, what up? So I used to have this, and I believe on mine, how did I mount this? I think I may have mounted it like this or something. Yeah, I mounted it straight into it like that on the front. So I still had room here and I could hook up. The problem is it ended up putting it way too far out. It bent. I need to mount this thing closer into here. But then the problem you run into is this knocking against it every time. So I don't know. Sometimes I think I should just leave it alone. Like, I don't know, would that go through? Yeah, that would actually go through. So you could put it there and just get it to that point where it does pass through. But, or cut this thing down shorter. That's what I ought to do. Cut the handle down shorter and make a smaller crank system onto it. But you don't have to do this. Greg actually makes this setup. So if you want this with a winch attached to it, Greg can get that for you. It's there. You can, he has a dual one that's on hinges here. And so it hinges like back and forth. You put a pen into it. So he has dual ones. So you can, if you have some massive stuff or you want to run both rigging setups off one. I'm not sure. I don't have that. But I think that you can separate them maybe. I'm not, don't quote me on that because, I mean, Greg's right here. He's in the comments. So this thing is just so good. It's so useful. Like, I'm telling you, I feel like my rigging game just changed. I understood everything about the canopy, but the complication of the porter wrap at the base of the tree always gave me trouble because I needed people to understand it, and it's not that easy to understand. It's not that easy to set up every single time, and then how to sweat the line and stuff. Like, if I told somebody to sweat the line on a porter rep, they would have trouble because it flops on the ground and moves and goes up and down. This is stationary. You can really, I mean, get this thing set up. Today, I used my old one, and I did one of the gnarliest fall jobs I've ever done. Oh, what's going on, Peter? Um, so I used my other one, and I wanted to show you this. What's really nice about this setup now is when you set this one up, the problem with mine that I would run into is now I have the CMI rope jack, and if you notice, you kind of need, well, you need somewhere to hook it into to make it easy, quick. So this would be the ideal spot, is this back bar, that there. Well, the problem is it cuts off right there. So when I get it against the tree, I have the little rubber mat here, but it only sticks, got a little bitty gap, and I can't get a carabiner in there. And you want it to be as close as you can to this, so clipping to this is the ticket. So I'm like, what am I going to do? Now that's not an issue. What I used to have to do is put a strap at the base of the tree, or below this. I would put a strap around the tree, and then I would clip into that strap with the CMI rope jack, and I would try to adjust the strap to where it set the jack about right here, or the clip, so that the jack was about right in this area. I would get full stride, and it wasn't like up on the rope, because it gets real floppy if you do that. But this now changes that. I have this gap now that I can get a carabiner clipped in, and this is perfect. Like, this is perfect. But yeah, I'm really stoked to use this, and I'm amazed, Greg. I really appreciate you, brother. I don't think I can ever express it enough, but you're the man. But yeah, that thing is, for those that maybe are here right now and they don't much understand what that thing is. In tree work, you need a lowering device at the base of the tree, or you're forced to take wraps around the tree, or you're hoping the guy will hold it. And as we go through the news, there was a couple guys in a video that they tried to hold it. It was too heavy. It ran them all the way to the tree. They ended up breaking some bricks. So having a good friction device at the base of the tree that is consistent and gives you the same response every single time is the ticket. Taking wraps around this tree with a rope is not the ticket, because thank you, Greg. Because it's just inconsistent. It's, different trees going to have different bark. It's going to grab on that rope more. A lot of times you try to take wraps on a neighboring tree, and you can burn the bark off into the cambium. You can hurt the tree, and it's just inconsistent. It forces you to, when you don't have a lowering device at the base of the tree, if you're not using the actual tree that you're in, and you're putting weird angles onto stuff too, that's just unnecessary. And that's one thing that is a pet peeve for me in tree work, especially on YouTube. I see that so much, the negative space where someone's not using a lowering device, and they're way out here, and the tree's here, but the guy's got a rope going up to the limb. Okay, to the limb, then it goes over to the tree, and then way over here. So when it drops into this point here, there's a ton of negative space. I see people get the ropes all wrapped up, and it smacks the rope, and I don't like it. It's just ugly looking, in my opinion. But yeah, that's the best lowering device I've ever used in my life. And I haven't actually, let me be 100% honest. This is the newer upgraded version of the one that I have used for the past 7 years. And I would never use anything else. I'm just being straight up. I'm telling you, Ground Pounder, we have absolutely the best community as far as tree work. Like I go, that's what I do. I go look at other people's channels. I watch their videos. We talk about it during this period, here each week on our Saturday evenings, and like do news. But I see what goes on, and like as far as I've seen more, like I can't say Buchan's crowd is not. They're insanely supportive, but I'm talking about the like just understanding that everybody has with each other. Because sorry about that. I got this stupid cleaner that freezes my phone, but every week it's something, We always it's I don't know. I appreciate the hell out of you guys more than I probably say, and you guys are always you're always so good to me. So yeah, I just appreciate it. I told you guys I would be doing this after I would be doing this live feed right after leaving one of the scariest things I've probably done in a long time. Well, I went there. I turned this tree down. It was too much. First, let me do this. I want to give a shout out to this YouTube channel. It's called Woodroy TV. Now, we're going to talk about this channel during the news, and I'm telling you, it's a very, very new channel, and it will, I would almost, this is crazy, but I'm telling you, it will fly by my channel because it's just, there's so much work being put into it. It's good, it's quality, like, and I just think he hasn't put out the right video yet, and when he does, that channel, I believe, will be pretty big. But that's at Woodroy TV. But let me show you guys kind of what I did. I want to try to keep up with comments the best I can. Yeah, he's funny. He's funny. Like, I don't like agree with every way he does stuff, or actually, he does. How I came across this channel is he does fail videos, and I just don't have the setup to do that. But we kind of, like, I don't know. That's one thing I've always wanted to do, and I just don't have the setup to do it. Can't really afford to do all that, but one day we will. And that's how I came across it. It really bugs me when I see people do tree climbing fail videos, the compilations where they watch all the fail videos, and they start to say, "Oh, he's just uneducated." What up, Jay? How are you, brother? And they instantly, they'll watch a video and they're like, "What happened there? I think he's just being dumb, or he's an idiot, uneducated." And a lot of times, you couldn't be further from the truth about the people you're talking about. So I feel like, well, I mean, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut until I can do it myself and then do what I'm thinking. But if I'm giving Woodroy any advice, everyone does the way you do it. So I would say I would look at each video, find a mistake, acknowledge the mistake, and try to give a resolution. That's not going to happen every single time, but always going to he just made a stupid decision, or he's an idiot. You don't know what the variables were at that time, on that day, at that place. So I hate how I see people do that. It drives me nuts. But yeah, he does really good videos. Just my opinion. I would say check him out if you guys get time. In my opinion, it's definitely worth it. It's a growing YouTube channel, and I think it's pretty good. So check him out. Oh yeah, I was going to show you what I did. So, like, here was the house, right here, and there was two pitches to it, one on each side, and or well, not one on each side, but it was like a 3-story house, so there was very little space right here, and it was hanging over the house an insane amount. So I was planning on going up and rigging it, and we were gonna have to, because Jake was really sick today. So when he showed up, like, he was bad sick. I felt so bad. COVID, what's up? I'm always in timeout, Jake. Um, so he was really sick. I felt bad for the dude, but he showed up. So we went ahead and went for it. And I got there. I was gonna climb up. I was gonna try to rig this out. It was absolutely just insanely sketchy. So this ended up going way further out here too, but you know the gist of it. So, and this part here was a 2-story. So there's 2 stories there, and then there's the doors at the base. So you got like an understanding of size. But I wanted to do that, but I was gonna have to put Jake on the roof. The pitch to the roof, ridiculous. It wasn't possible. I didn't want him to, so I'm like, that's not gonna work. So then we found another tree over in this area in the front yard that we could take and hang limbs and then transfer them over to that one. Good for us. Another Ballard showed up in the mail, and we were set. We were like, that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so actually right by this tree, and pretty much like in the way, making anything else almost impossible, is this other tree. It's all up in this, and it's like in front of this one. So if I want to try to try to pull it over, I had to get rid of this one. So I was gonna climb, do all that. Turned out, no, we can't do that. So the guy asked, "Are you still gonna take down this other tree?" I said, "Is that okay?" He says, "Yeah." So we went ahead and took this tree down. We fell it this way. Then it left an open space here, and I was committed at that point to try to take this tree and pull it this way over the top of the house, the entire way over the house, and into the front yard, which was very small and skinny. It was hollow at the base, we could see, and then we see another hollow hole about right there. It kind of dog legs a little more than that too, like right in this area as it goes over the house, and it was absolutely insane. So what I did is I shot a line up into it. We hooked up here. We went directly almost against the lane in the direction it was at the house, and we I think we won about 2/3 of the tree. It was somewhere in about this region, and we ran. Picture that this tree is out of here now. We fell it out into the woods, got a rope into it, shot it out into the woods. So now we got this one still, and we stuck a line into it. We ran it directly against the lane back to a bollard that had a pulley on a tree. So what we did is we put like a pulley, took my rigging pulley, put it about right here, my ISC pulley, and then ran it straight down to the bollard, which was like right here. We had the bollard set up there, and we had a pulley set up there. So that rope came over, it went into it, and then straight down. So we were getting a bit of a mechanical advantage from the pulley. Then I took and hooked the CMI rope jack to the bollard and jacked on that thing and completely cranked down on it and tried to pull some of that bend out. Because what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to take this thing this way. What's going to happen and what wants to happen is as you start to go this way, all this weight and gravity pulling down and you weakening the strength of the tree, the whole tree, put a notch, all of a sudden it droops that way a little more. As you start to cut, it's gonna want to break off as you cut, like this. And it's going to break off and want to go that way. Right onto the house. So what I want to do is I want to strengthen this back spot and this. Well, actually more this side. So the way I can strengthen this side is to cause compression into that bend. So I put the rope, anchored it here, ran it back, and when I cranked down on that and locked it off on the bollard, what I had done is I had pulled some of that back and caused compression even more down here into this base right here, which added some strength on this back side and gave me a bit of confidence as I had it hooked there that I was pulling some of that bend out of it and keeping it tight, and then strengthening this hinge wood, because as you want to take it over, you're going to want to leave more meat on this side and less on this side. But if you take too much from this side and this side can't hold, it breaks and falls on the house. These are the ones that twist. When you try to do this, they twist or they break off at the stump. And if that broke off the stump, I'm done. Like, for good. So, when we did this, we used this as a drift line. So this thing's whole purpose was to hold pressure back onto that tree against this lean this way the whole time. It did nothing else. We locked it off. We wrapped the rope around it 20 times, locked it off on these things. And so what we've done is before we've done anything else to try to pull us over, we've strengthened this part here, where the likelihood when you start to cut into the back of this thing barber chairing right here, right here, as you start to cut, is very likely. Gravity, and there's so much pressure pulling down with all this stuff that's where this bends and goes over the house. That's ridiculous right there. So if you start to cut that and try to take it to the backyard or to the front yard, the likelihood of it barber chairing was ridiculous. I thought that originally, and then when I talked to him today, he said, I had a really good logger here, and this guy's the best logger, probably around, and he didn't want to touch it. He had logged all the land around him and did not want to touch that tree because he was afraid it was going to barber chair. That was his main concern, is it's going to barber chair. So I just needed to put a few things in my favor before I even made a cut on this thing. So we did this. We took it back. It's anchored off now. I feel good. I feel a little better. But now, instead of going this way, the thing is, if I faced that cut directly this way, I think it still would have broke off. And it wouldn't have got the right pull. So what I needed to do is take it to the front yard, but go and gun it a little against that lean. So that lean goes out that way. So I kind of faced it off this way, which after I got the face cut put into it and I looked at it, I'm like, that looks sketchy. That looks like chaos right now. So how would that look? If I took a notch out of it, it would be like, let's see. It kind of looked like that. What I did is I opened it up because it's got to move a long ways. And this notch, probably not so much that, like it was facing more like this way. But this is what it looked like. I widened the back strap. Instead of a notch being like this, what happens is this little point is so tight that touches really quick, and I feel like you start to rip fibers too soon because these two points touch too soon. As soon as they touch together and the weight's over center, you start to rip fiber out of the tree. So when I get into trees that are dead, dry, or I have a worry or concern of a lean and I need it to hold to the stump better, I will, if I had it like this, what I would do in this setup is I would just make another cut right here, right below that, and then I'd take my axe, I'd hammer down on that, and I'd break that chunk off, and then what I'm left with is a wider back strap here now. And the reason you want a wider back strap is because these 2 points don't touch as quick, and it'll hold to the stump, maybe not pull fiber as quick. So with this one, I don't want it pulling fiber I want it hinging. So I widen the back strap up and I open the face up because I needed it to be, like, it had to move so far. I don't know if this would have been enough. This would have closed up maybe before I wanted it to. But yeah, that's just a little, I don't know, a little bit of insight on it. I don't want to get into it too much because I'll make a video on it soon. But yeah, let me know if that didn't make any sense either. Shark tooth cut is sweet. Can't be too greedy with the hinge wood. No. Nope. Thanks, Peter. Appreciate you. So yeah, that was absolutely insane. But yeah, driftline. I don't think I see it used all that much, but man, it can be so useful. It can help so much. I've done the wider back strap and cut some vertical lines on one side to give the hinge more time to hold. Yeah, I can see that working. Overface works good for movement on trees opposite the lane. Yeah, because no matter what, I mean, if you have a tree that is pretty straight up and down, there's no need for that. Like if your tree's straight up and down, you can just put a quick little notch in it. Because when you're, oh hell with doing this. Well, yeah, I guess I could. Well, then I'll show you with this wood. So just put a regular notch like that. Because if it's pretty straight, you only need it to get over center, and then it's committed. It's going to go the direction that it's hinging. But with an open, when you got it back here, and you're trying to pull it this way, you have all this time that it needs to hold on the stump, on the stump, on the stump, on the stump, there. So if you don't need much time, and you just need it to go over, and then it's able to fall, little bitty notch. Like, that's all you really need. You don't need much time. But when that notch closes, you've lost control. That's the thing you have to remember when you're notching and falling trees. When the notch closes, you've now lost control, and you have two rounded objects going off of each other at times. Like, it's flat, 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 but when those two touch here, they're both rounded edges, and it can turn it a bit. So, like, I prefer to keep most of my stuff on the stump, and then after I know it's committed and going where I want, I'll sever it off sometimes, a lot of time, but I don't know, it's all preference. Like today, normally I stay on the stump because I can change a few things. I can change a little bit of direction in the middle of a fall by messing with the hinge. But today was just one of them days where I made the cut and then just had to watch it do the movement. I just had to shut the saw off because if I cut any more, I cut it up and it was going to go over on the house. Falling stuff around the hill that is leaning over the hill. Yeah, well. Yeah, it was very, very sketchy. Like, that's the tree that I turned down and said, no, I can't do that. I was going to climb it that day. It was just in such bad shape. It was littered with dead. And both trees ended up having some hollow sections in them, and just when they hit, they broke apart. They were terrified of this tree. She said that it would, like, during windstorms, it would smack up against the window and screech against the window at times. They just like it was a nightmare for them, and nobody wanted to mess with it. You couldn't get a lift to it if you wanted to because it's like way up on this little yard, like in this yard up on a hill, down like down the side of the hill in this soggier area that you couldn't get a lift or anything to. Maybe you could have found a spot in the front yard if it could have reached 100 foot or more, maybe 100 foot. That could have got to all of it, but yeah, it was. When he told me that I could fall the other tree, get it out of the way, and then I could attempt to fall it, I'm like, let's do this, man. I've got 2 maze dams, a CMI rope jack, pulleys. Like, we can make some things happen with the right setup. And in my opinion, the only reason today that that house didn't get smashed by that was because of the drift line and what it created and did during the whole process. That drift line just, it was, yeah, that's just it. You just have to, I'll make the video soon. Why did y'all cut down the first one? Obviously I wasn't there, but seems like it would have made a good. No. No, it was too short. Like this one, where it went up and it carved up over. Ah, yeah, the drawing. Yeah, if you're going off that drawing. So this one was more up from it a little bit, like on the side of the house. It would have been like here in comparison. And this one, as big as it was, it probably, the highest spot in it was maybe here. And the distance from it, as this one went up, it went away from that tree. So like they were kind of close till you get to about right there. Then they go away from each other. It's just stupid hard to explain. Which is a bummer because I thought I had footage on the. I took down a different tree there. It was a ivy covered tree. I did the video a few weeks back, and when I turned that one down, it was like, no, it just, I don't know, I don't think it can be climbed. And I was gonna climb it, you know. You get, sometimes you do desperate things, and I just felt like I didn't give it enough thought, and it had bugged me ever since because I don't feel like I've ever said no to a tree ever. And I was like, man, I could do that somehow. Like I could do. There's some way I could. So it's been bugging me for weeks. So I had to. What was the diameter at your cut? Let's see here. The tree was in the way of his badassness. I wish it was like that. That would be cool. That's funny. No, you're good, Grandpa. I mean, by what I drew there, that app, you have all rights to think that because I legit drew the tree, and I'm doing it like as I was there. If you were up on that first tree, it did look taller because that one's in the background, and it just, yeah, yeah. By the drawing, you had all rights to think that. Yeah, it would have been all in my way trying to rig. It would have been aggravating. And it just kind of, it was weird because it kind of went towards the wooded area. And oh, right on the back side of the tree is just a ditch line that goes straight down into a creek. But yeah. So when I fell the first one that I thought was pretty straight. It was, we put a rope in it, had a little side lean, put it out into the woods. It ended up being stupid hollow. And I thought it was the good, healthy tree out of the two of them. So I was like, no, man, that makes me worry about how the leaning one is. So we end up falling or putting a notch in the leaning one, and it's solid. And I'm like, what? Man, I hope it ain't all but rotten stuff on the backside because it has a spot at the base where you can see it's hollow. It must just be hollow at the stump. Because how far this tree leans out, how much weight is pulling down on it, and how horizontal it's growing, it has no strength up above it. This bend, there's no, it makes no sense why this tree didn't break and blow apart already. That's how hard of a lean it has. GP late night show? Right on. Yeah, me too. Like here and here. So poor Jake, man, he calls me this morning, or actually I text him. I'm like, hey, dude, give me another 30 minutes. I'm running a bit late. He says that's cool because I've been getting sick all night long. But he's like, but I'm still good. I'm trying to read comments at the same time. I got the pull line. Where are we pulling the tree? Right on. That's sick. We just anywhere but the house. So, um, yeah, poor guy was so sick. You could tell. Been throwing up all night long. I felt so bad for him, but he still got in there. I was like, dude, we try to get you some electrolytes and everything. If you've been throwing up, like if you're gonna be weak, and you could tell when we got there. Like, he was fine the whole trip there. He seemed like he was doing all right, but we got there and he just got real sick. Instantly needed to throw up. So poor guy. I'm like, all I really need him to do is, well, at one point I thought we were going to rig this whole tree out, but then it turned out all I need to do is use the tree jack. I'm like, dude, like lay down, go sit in the truck, like close your eyes, try to let your stomach settle. I got a 7-Up in there, go drink that, and he made it through it, and I was just stoked he made it through it. Get it to the chipper. Oh, damn, you need a job? Oh, Jimmy's getting it all done. Well, I'm being straight up. Like, I do a normal, every time I touch a tree, go up it, do anything with it, I lay my hands on it. I pray for everything to go safe, everyone to be safe, and all the property and nothing to be damaged. Like, it's a routine I've done, and I don't think I've ever done one to where I haven't done that. But I was this close to dropping to my knees and praying. I was so sketched out with this one, and it worked. So like, I just couldn't. I was so stoked. Jimmy, Jimmy, hold my beer and watch this. Yeah, exactly. Lacking on the thumbs. Yeah, if you don't mind hitting the thumb button, that's cool. I ain't. You don't have to do anything if you don't want to, I guess. So what's nice about what we got going on here, but some people just like to stop in and look and chill and just kind of observe, I feel like. And I thought what I like is our group is so chill for the most part, and we're not that wild and ignorant. We kind of keep the nasty trolling out of the way. Because I worry at times some of the maybe younger guys or people that are interested don't leave comments or say anything because they feel like they're gonna run into some jerks. But yeah, you should leave a comment. You don't know until you leave it. Skill and nuts. There you go. I'm ecstatic at work, John Bob. Craig's has been there. Right on. Just because I said you didn't have to? Well, thank you. I don't know about all that, brother, but I'm glad I don't sit on them anymore with those old butt seat saddles. That got painful. Do we do the news? That's why I don't climb my laser safe first. John Bob is always good for a laugh. Son of a gun, I love it. Alright, guys. So, please, for the love of God, screw Steve. Or start yourself. So, this week, I was running behind. I was busy doing some stuff. I had Christmas shopping and stuff to do for the kid and my little nephews and nieces and family, and but I think I got her done for the most part, you know. So I'm a little behind on some of the videos. I didn't get to put as many into the news for this week as I normally would, but I think we got a fair amount. I enjoy the content. Right on, COVID. I'm also getting fluffy. Oh man. So this week, we start out with guilty of treason. So homeboy ended up buying a grapple truck now, and apparently he's moving sappy supplies into a proper location. I think they've been running it out of a storage shed for a while. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. But apparently it's going good enough. He can put it into a legit establishment, and so they got I think a house is what they're using as the headquarters, and he's also maybe going to use it to store some equipment or something. But yeah, stoked for him. Good for him. But yeah, he put out a video where he did this big maple tree, and he's been working on this. I believe his last video had it. He does. He's just a good dude. He was telling me, "Thank you, hey man, thank you so much for picking up my slack today." And no, dude, I got you. You have taken care of me so many times and dealt with me being a jerk who stressed out up, doing what I did. It's just I I can return the favor. So that's basically what today was. Tried to do my best to help him out, and we got through it. We did something that a month or two ago I said wasn't possible. We went back and did it. So, I'm stoked. So, yeah, Guilty put out that video of this massive maple, and I just need to state the obvious. We're cruising down the road in a squad car and looking for perps to get. Gotta hit the siren, because in his video, his editor labels a chainsaw. Isaac's climbing the tree. There's a side tree. They're following the big maple, him and Randy, and Isaac is actually gonna climb the other tree that's dead and up against another. They're gonna take the one tree out. He's gonna piece it out. So stoked for Isaac. Isaac got a bunch of new gear. Yeah, you can just see the confidence when you have all that and how good you feel, and so good for him. Stoked for him. But the editor called. First of all, you see what this. This is the same. Actually, this may be a Pro Mag blower, but Husqvarna 125B. I guess B stands for blower. So Jacob has over 1 million subscribers. Gets tons of views on his videos. His editor does a great job. But don't you ever, ever call a Husqvarna a Steel again. He labeled the saw Isaac was using 200T. Steel 200T. First of all, you've insulted Steel by saying that that even could be a Steel, which it's not. Second, you insulted the 200T and compared it to this Husqvarna thing that he was using. So the actual saw that he was using is a T540XP. I know that because I zoomed in while he was making a cut. Not because I know Husqvarna chainsaws. But yeah, you get a ticket for that one. You don't never do that. You cannot legally, here on YouTube, on my channel, call a Husqvarna a Steel. You know, that's a no-go. Right from the get-go. So, ticket for Jacob. I feel like he has to take the ticket because, you know, the editor doesn't even know. He probably don't even use chainsaws. So, that's a no-go. Jesus, do I really want to do this? How long have I been talking? Almost an hour? Okay. So I was really hoping that 200Ts are badass. Yes, they are. They are very iconic. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just being goofy. What's up, Ellis? So, okay. Go check out Guilty of Treason. I don't know why you wouldn't be subscribed to him already if you're possibly this far down the rabbit hole and watching me. But hey, maybe there's one. I'm gonna have to agree with you there, Chris. So, after turning 4201, I'd say they get my stamp of. That's awesome. That's awesome. Anyone want to race top handles? Next channel would be JLM Tree Service. I was really hoping Brandon, Rusty's Tree Service, was going to show up in the live feed because he ended up being called out in this dude's videos, which is funny. So JLM Tree Service puts out a video. It is called Customers Amazed! Exclamation point. Massive maple tree removal in tight spot. And the thumbnail says 0 drop zone real big. And yeah, that's what it said. So that's not true. The thumbnail, you can't say 0 drop zone when you have a fairly large drop zone, which is, I mean, when you're talking about your drop zone is as wide and is as big, actually bigger and wider than the tree itself, because you got length all one way. You get a tree, okay, growing up, house, shed, open space. There's a power line over here. Now, are you talking about how you're working over power if your tree isn't actually over the power line? I mean, I wouldn't. But that doesn't mean that you can't say that you're working over the power line. I mean, that's on you. You can choose. You know, you get to run your channel whichever way you want. It's just how that works. But it's not true for 0 drop zone. It was but it was kind of tight. It was tight. You know, you're gonna have to bring things down, but there's plenty of space to put them down, to rig things down, and land them. So I don't understand the crazy embellishing, like over the top. But I mean, that's a style. That's maybe his own thing. But so also, I don't really point out like if I'm not actually working over a power line, I don't like point out the power lines in the yard. But yeah, I guess I'm not everybody. But let's see. Um. Oh, so I got he takes down like a decent maple tree. It had been topped before, but is it massive? That's up for debate. I mean, you can depends on what you're where you're at, because a tree that's massive in one region may not be massive in another. So that just that's just kind of how that works. Man, my knee will not pop back into place for nothing. It's still out. Um, let's see. So yeah, my guy in the video, he mid ties branches a whole lot, and he calls it tip tying. Um, he's just like some people have their own lingo, so it's like it's hard to like instantly your my brain flicks and it's like no, that's not. What are you talking about? That's not what that. But some people just call things different stuff, I guess. But yeah, he does quite a bit of mid tying and stuff in the video and tip tying. So you get the advantage when you're tip tying and like midline tying, where you don't need the piece to do an end over flip like you would normally um, when you butt tie. But if you have the space to let it go end over, it's quicker. So that's a preference thing, whoever you are. Um, no, so yeah, he's this is the channel where I told you guys the guy was rigging out of the tree like this. Oh my god. Oh. This kind of stuff. Oh, it's like it's the thing that I cannot. It drives me nuts, and it shouldn't. But that's like it's like my OCD just going crazy when I see it on YouTube, and I'm like, stop doing that. Um, and I want to explain why I think it's bad. Oh, jeez, that thing's so hard to wipe off. All right. So you're rigging out of this tree. Okay? Your rope goes over, it's right here. And let's say you're rigging this piece, it goes out here. Let's tip tie it. So we tie it about right there. It goes up through that fork. Now instead of taking that rope and running it down the tree to a lowering device, they take and they run the damn rope way over this way. Which I don't understand why. Because when this thing swings off, it'll smack the rope a lot of times, get tangled up in the rope. You're not you're not causing compression into that tree. You're causing when this swings off and this branch ends up right here. Okay? It swings off, the branch ends up here. It's tied off, okay? What happens is you get a pull that goes right there. onto that limb. So you're yanking that limb sideways. It's going that direction. But if you was to take, and you know what, I wouldn't want to do that and have it pull in that direction. You're causing this union here to separate from this union. So I would be sketched out by that, because you're causing a bunch of tension right here at this bad union this way. So why not take that rope, run it down the back side of the tree to a device here, or go down the tree and take a wrap on the tree even. But this sideways shit here, I think, is so goofy. But I mean, if that's what you want to do, do your thing. But I've never liked this negative space. So same way when I see guys that like put a rigging point way, I'll see it sometimes. Say they got a rigging point way out here. Okay, so here's our tree. So I got a rigging point out here, and I don't even like this. It just drives me nuts. But let's say they got a rope, and the rigging point's over here. They're gonna rig this branch, but their thing goes like this. Where you could be causing compression into this, you're causing a bunch of tension that's not needed. Like, you're gonna cause this thing to, when this swings off and lands over here, goes like this, okay, it ends up there, you're pulling on this limb right this direction. Like, I don't know sometimes if people understand how that works. Like, it doesn't make sense to me. So the strongest way you could do this one would be, because you're scared of this union, you want to strengthen this union. Here's your bad spot. And I don't care how you're doing the tree. If I'm setting a rigging setup into this tree, I'm worried about this union. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to strengthen this union. I'm not going to take these two branches at any point and separate them and have them pulling in opposite directions of each other. I'm going to bring them together. That's how I get the strongest rigging setup. So what I would do is I would run a rigging point from here to here. And then I could rig out a damn branch that's this big, that's way bigger than the top. But let's say this branch is just screw this abnormal fatty right here. I would still be confident rigging out of this. I would run that rope either down the backside, or let's say we ran it off of this one here. I would have another ring right here that would align it with my bollard. So it would go from this to this, from this to this, and from there to my bollard. Now, I could rig that piece out and have no problem, because when this drops down and drops a bunch of weight into the system, it's going to take this branch and this branch, it's going to pull them together. It's going to cause compression. This is what you want this here. You don't want separation. You don't want them pulling apart. You want them pulling together. Understanding this concept right here can allow you to do a lot of rigging stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to do. But you're strengthening the rigging system by taking a spot that's bad and using the location of the two to strengthen, because any other way that you use these, I don't care if you're rigging even with a fishing pole up and you got a rigging point like all the way up to there, then to there, then to there, then to there. If this goes out here, it's still going to pull some pull down on this union and not on this. So I try to strengthen them by doing that. I don't know if that makes sense. I hope that it does, because I feel like I could have wasted a whole lot of time there if it doesn't, but no, I did. I almost did. Yeah, I almost did. It was close. So, um, oh, here's another thing that I wanted to touch on. So, I see this happening all the time. Like, I'm not even going to do what I want to do. So, what I want to do right now is call this climber out because they felt the need to say something cocky about the way that I rig. And then I watch them and they're making some very rookie mistakes. So I don't know if people know this at times. So if you're rigging, you're tying ropes every time, tie your knots. Every time. It's going to take a while, but it's going to work. So you don't got to worry about all like a lot of this stuff. That dude knows what he's talking about, Joseph. You can take something and make it stronger than it is. Like either one of them stems right there at the top aren't as strong as you can combine them together, and then you're centering everything too. You're gonna pull on things, and when you pull on things, that's gonna pull them in certain directions. Think about the directions they're gonna be pulled, and is it gonna be negative to the system or is it gonna be positive? Because it can be positive when you combine them and cause those unions to come together when you drop weight into it, as opposed to separate. Oh, and what's up, Joseph? By the way, sorry. That was a tree target. That was a gets. Hey, I tried, brother. Right on. That's awesome. I got 2 there. 11. How do you like them, GB? Okay, so I want to show you guys this. What did that say? John Bob? Not for sale yet. So, if you're using a carabiner and you're rigging, you have to try to remember. I do this in every aspect of tree work. I think this is the best thing you could do. Approach every aspect of tree work, of using a chainsaw, of cutting a tree. Approach every single aspect the same way. What risks are involved, and how many of them can I eliminate? So, when you're rigging, if you're tying knots repeatedly to do your limbs, not a big deal. You know, you go up here and tie yourself a running bolt. I've never tied a running bowline on my own arm before, but something like this, I think. Come on. So if you're doing this every time, you know, whatever, if that's what you want to do, tie your knots every time, cinch it up onto the limb every single time. That takes a while. You'll see most guys, if they're doing a whole bunch of rigging, will switch over. I personally just enjoy it. I don't use just a regular carabiner. I use a rigging carabiner, either a metal one that screw locks, or I have another metal one that has triple locking. But even though it has a screw lock and it's a rigging beaner, the main one I use is a big clip. I don't even have one of them around here. I'd show you, but it's a legit like big, like thick clip. That's I like to use for rigging. I wish I had one in here. I'd show you, but I don't. Where's the risk with this when you're using this? And I mean, I'm sure all of you know. Where is the risk in this? The risk in this is this. Yeah, I love the screw locking. You know, that risk of, okay, like I said, this is the risk. There's times, depending on what kind of carabiner you're using, that this can happen. You get stuck open. So it gets stuck open. My phone just froze again. I had that stupid clean thing come across. That's awesome, right, Dad? I dig it, man. Yeah, I mean, that's I like the sharing thing. Like, I feel like I've done most of it on the channel, so that's what since I started the memberships, that's what I've been doing. I'm gonna use it and do as much how-to stuff on that, and as much like DIY stuff, make it yourself. I'm gonna explain, like, I'm gonna use it. It's absolutely gonna be a complete resource, and I'm gonna try to label everything and keep it very simple. That way you can kind of go back on it and use it and find the stuff. That's the problem with a lot of my videos, is I'll show a technique or something, but it's in the middle of a video. So I'm gonna break everything down to specific techniques and tools and make that video and put it on there. So um, not trying to promote, but yeah, I just started them, so there's not a whole lot up yet, but yeah, I'm gonna get a lot more up. So your worry is this can get stuck open. No, dude, you know what? You couldn't have went on to it and like got it to work, because I hadn't published it. I had done everything except the last bit, and I didn't do that. I finally pushed publish on it, I think this morning. So I don't think, even if you tried, it wouldn't have let you. Everything was set up. I just didn't. I had the option. I even had the link, but I didn't push publish. And I'm like, oh yeah, my bad. So we'll see. I mean, I don't know if it works. That would be awesome, because I would love for this to maybe be something I can do long term. But at the same time, I'm enjoying YouTube for what it is, and it's definitely not lucrative, but we'll see. I don't know, Ground Pounder. We'll see. So, yeah, I don't want to talk too long, but hey, so that gets stuck open. You got to worry about that. That's a big concern. But yeah, hey, if you want to, I have memberships. I think I have it to $4.99, and I took the $9.99 one off there. I don't even know why it was on, but it's off now, and it's just $4.99 for everything. I'm gonna do some live feeds on there after we get a few people, and you can do more of a like back and forth if you don't like being in the live feeds with so many people, or we can do more like personal back and forth stuff too. So, all right. So our weak point is that we could get it stuck open. So I don't. Oh damn! All right, Greg. Hey, brother. Thank you so much. Guys, go get you a Ballard. I'm telling you, if you ain't got one, you need one. But thank you, Greg. Appreciate you, brother. Have a Merry Christmas if I don't talk to you before Christmas. All right. So our weak point is there. It can get stuck open. So you get you a screw locking one. That's nice, because when it's locked, that can't come open. You've eliminated one of the risks. Awesome. But you still have a risk there. And I seen somebody put it. I think it may have been John Bob. He says, side loading the carabiner, which is a concern. And another concern is how you hook this thing up, especially when you're rigging a piece, can really make a difference. I know it seems like you should just be able to go to a branch and just hook it up, whichever way you want. Okay. The problem is, now if this branch, depending on what direction it's falling, so let's say we got this and it's falling, it's being rigged from back here, and it's falling, it's got this big long thing hanging off of it, like a limb, and it's falling that way. So when that falls over, and this rope tightens up, you've now got the rope going onto the clip. What the hell? The gate. Jesus, I couldn't think of the word. Going onto the gate. So that is the weakest point of it. You never want that happening. So you can have that same thing hooked up. All you got to do is just switch it. So you have to think when that branch comes off and it tightens up, when it falls off, how is the rope going to contact the carabiner? I've seen a climber repeatedly hook stuff up the opposite way. Just repeatedly. And you're just taking an unnecessary risk. And I wouldn't even say anything, but I can see that this climber is very, very, very excited and wants to teach people. That's what they want to do. They just want to teach people things. And, you know, so there's things that you probably should just focus on fixing more, and always try, instead of trying to teach somebody something, like I'm always trying to fix my silly little mistakes that I made. I didn't know this for the longest time. Somebody pointed this thing out to me. I didn't know that you could combine the unions and start to make a rigging system the strongest. I had it shown to me by somebody. Like, I don't think it maybe was one person. It's been down the line that over years and messing with things, and I start to see the way they get pulled, and I'm never satisfied with what I know. Like, and trees, I don't care who you are, you're never going to be able to tell me you know everything. Because every single one of them responds different because of what it's went through and where it's at. So every single one of them is going to respond different. It's going to be different. It's not all going to work the same. So I want to understand every part of it that I can. That way, as I get there every single time, I'm doing my best to eliminate as many risks that are there as I possibly can. And I feel like that you're setting yourself up for success when you do something like that. I know it's nice to be like, all right, well, I'm going to do this and this and this and this is going to happen. Awesome. But what if this happens? What if this happens? Or what if this happens? If you get in that mode where you just do things and you expect this same outcome, it's just going to do this, and you don't play those scenarios over in your head, it'll come and bite you one day. And you don't want it. I promise. You just don't want it. Like, I'm lucky to be walking right now. Like, the fact that I can still climb into a saddle and get up into a tree is unreal to me. But I'm beyond grateful for it. But I made a mistake within 60 seconds that almost altered the rest of my life. And it wasn't a major mistake. It was called, I tried to micromanage too many things and stop paying attention to the risk that I was taking. So I'm up in a tree. I've rigged this whole massive tree out all over these power lines and over these people's house and this and that. And everything went good. I rigged massive pieces on this one. And we killed it. And I'm on the log. There's a stub. At some point, I go to reposition myself, and my tie-in point pops off the stub I had it on. And I must have leaned back into it and didn't have my lanyard on. Because I was up at the knot in the tree, and there was a little stub here. I had my tie-in onto it, and I went to drop down to below the knot in the tree, the union, and then I was going to throw my lanyard around. Well, when I dropped down, I don't remember anything. I still to this day couldn't tell you what happened. I know I woke up on a pile of wood with my ribs sticking out of my chest, and my back was really, really hurting, and I couldn't breathe. So, like, there's no sense in, you know, if you gotta experience that on your own, like, go ahead. But I would say, don't let your guard down. I don't care how good you are, how many times you've done that, what you think is the same thing over and over and over. It's never the same. I don't care what you say. They may act the same. They may respond the same, but they're never the same. That tree today, trying to take that tree at this time of the year when it's this cold was the worst time to do it. So there was a lot of things that I needed to do, like in the middle of the summer, like spring, like into summer. That tree, the sap's up, the fibers are gonna hold so much more, and I would I would trust that a little more. It's not as cold, it's warm outside. No, I had everything going against me. So what I had to do is set a few things up in my favor. That way we were on an even playing field. It's never fair the way things are set up and the way they work when you go to do tree work, but you can at least make them a little more in your favor by changing some things, adjusting some things, making sure a few things are on your side, and try to eliminate some of those bad things that could happen. That's like the best advice I could give anybody. Abaddon, what's going on? How are you tonight? Trees. Never rigged a tree. 10% is a good wear factor for most rigging equipment. I teach to inspect all rigging every tree. Yeah. Always try to have two ways to take a little out of the back and still. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could do, like I said, you could do something a billion times, and then out of nowhere it responds different when you're dealing with trees. It's just, that is the way it works. I don't care who you are. Maybe you haven't ran into that tree yet. Good for you. I'm glad. But just, hey, FYI, before you become a statistic, either by injuring yourself or causing damage, stay on the ball. Know when to call it quits, and know your limits too. And I don't think I'm stubborn sometimes, and I say that I feel like there's nothing I can't do. Well, on that day, for some reason, I chose that I couldn't do that. Like, I couldn't. And maybe on that day I couldn't. And I'm glad I didn't try. I don't know what would have happened. But today I was able to. And I don't know what a few days really does. Maybe it gave me time to develop some sort of a plan, which gave me some confidence that I didn't have originally, but 100% ground pounder. Yeah, I can't believe that one. That was a rough one. Just to the rapper away. I know, dude, I'm about hungry again. I stuffed myself before I came out, but I'm about hungry again. Old Mike could probably do a Big Mac or two right now. I want to use a beaner in it. And why would we want to use a beaner in rigging? Well, only because it's a little faster. Speed kills. Eh? Yeah. Yeah, I agree too. That's funny. That's the title of my biggest video that I've ever done. The only video I have over 1 million. I'm trying to bust any balls. No, I've always said the same thing, brother. Particularly when using gear for non-intended purposes. I'm trying to. Yeah, I lost the point right there. Trying to use gear for unintended purposes. I lost the point, brother. But you're good. Not trying to bust any balls. I didn't think you were. Like I said, I kind of lost the conversation there a little bit. I had to go fishing. Turbines, engine tools were attached to failed beaters. Right on. I've never had a carabiner fail. So I've 26 years, 26 years or so, and I've not had a carabiner ever fail. So my carabiner didn't fail when I fell. Like it didn't fail. It didn't fail when I fell. That's why it felt like I said something wrong there. What happened is I was tied in onto a stub like this. I had it hooked on. I was just going to use it to get below the knot in the tree. So I want to step off the knot, and I think I may have repositioned. Like my saddle will start to droop down sometimes, so I want to wiggle it back up, get into position, and I threw my lanyard off. Well, when I jumped, like pushed myself up to wiggle, at some point my line popped off of it. There wasn't a stub like I had to keep it on, and it must have came off. It just popped off the stub. I was taking a risk by tying into a stub like that, which I shouldn't have. You know, it was SRT, so it was hooked on. But what happened is I must have lifted up or wiggled it in some way to where it came off the stub. So when I leaned back, forgot everything after that. Best jobs are the ones you walk away from. Yes. Efficiency and cowboy shit are different. Yep. The way you rig with beaters is acceptable in my opinion, but not cross-loading. Yeah. Yeah, that stuff's crazy. Like you can have those things fail. Um, I've broke a rope on a big carabiner that I was using one time because the carabiner was so tight. Like the I was rigging with like it wasn't like a regular carabiner, it was this bigger carabiner, like a big hooked one. But I was rigging a top off of it, and it had a strap, and we were rigging like this. So what happened is the carabiner's so skinny, it mashed the rope really tight, and I had a little bad spot in the rope. So when that little bad spot ran into that right here, it just pow, it blew up, and yeah, it got a little section of plastic fence. That was a little lesson learned that day. I didn't know about. I immediately that probably that week was when I learned about bend radius. Why did it break? Like I've used that thing through crotches nonstop. This that. Why did it break? Oh, okay. When you run it over, it creates a smush, which thins the rope. Which if you hit a bad spot, you know, intensifies everything right there at that spot, and boom! It just. I learn every day. I learn a little bit every day. Peter, hey, have a good night, brother. I appreciate you. If we don't talk to you for Christmas, Merry Christmas. Cross loading the beater on a branch. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you could definitely do that. I would suggest you when you're using a beater. I see when guys will put them onto something that's loose like this, like a loose sewn eye, but it's not a tie dye. So at times this thing can flip around as you go to clip this on. And I've looked over before when I've done stuff like this. And what happens is it could be like this originally, and then before you know it, and you're about to make the cut, the damn thing has switched over, and now it's up here like this, cross-loading the hell out of it because it's loose here. So anytime I try to use a carabiner, I will try to fix if I'm going to use it on the end of the rope, I'll use some sort of a slip knot. Like I don't know if it's a double fisherman or a scaffold, but It's one of them two. So I don't like using a something that is loose. I just don't like it. So I suggest always having like a knot that cinches up and goes tight onto it so that it's kind of fixed onto that part of the rope. And then when you clip it on, you don't got to worry about it shifting and going all over the place. But if you guys notice, when I rig, I rarely do anything but the safest way. I use rings. So I use rings so much, it's helpful at times not to just leave the rope like this. If a guy goes to pull my rope back up, or the rope gets hit and it goes to run up, with rings, this will run out of the ring, run out of that ring, run out of the next ring, run out of that, before you know it, it's all the way on the ground. And you got to go all the way back up and put it through every single ring. Same thing with pulleys. If you had pulleys and this was set up like this, just a regular rope, it gets pulled out, and before you know it, you got to reset everything. Same thing with natural crotch. It can get pulled out and come out. So with rigging rings, I got to where I would put it through the whole system, all the rings. Then at the end of the rope, I would just tie a termination knot. So let's just do alpine butterfly, since I always just use the circus knot. So what I do is put a termination knot at the end of the rope, and it serves multiple purposes. So now I have a little knot in my rope that will, at worst, this ends up all the way up at the first ring, and it stops. Okay, but I take a speed line strap with a rigging beater on it. I throw the strap around. When I hook it on like this, there's no chance of loading that beater in any weird way. So when you hook up with a strap onto the branch, then clip to the rope, everything's going to be orientated right, the way you want. And the chance of side loading or anything's not going to be there like it would normally. So I think the best way, if you're going to use carabiners and rigging, is to do the speed line strap into a termination knot. So I will say, climbers has made me rethink some things I do, and more importantly, don't do. I thank you guys, all of you. Oh, that's awesome, Chris. Dude, I mean, I don't get, dude, let's just be honest. I don't get anything out of, okay, if you want to work and you go home every day, if you went to work, you got hurt and didn't come home, it doesn't, if I don't know you, that doesn't affect me. Like, so, but I know so many guys, and I feel like if you do trees and you climb in general, I feel like we have a connection. So if there's anything at any time that I feel like I can give an advice that will keep somebody safe, I feel like I'm doing a disservice if I keep that to myself. So I think it's always good to try to point out, every now and then, to just point out the negative, the wrong things, and try to give a little bit of a positive, like a way it could work. Like, can't, just not always good to just be like, this sucks, everything sucks. But if you don't know what the better way is, sometimes I try not to approach the topic if I don't have sort of a resolution. So, but yeah, I want to help. Like, if I can help, if something I can say, or a trick it makes somebody's day easier, awesome. If it keeps them safe, that's even better. If it gets them home to their family when they wouldn't, God bless. Like, that's more than I ever expected. So Yeah, Chris, tying in twice. It's a major thing, brother. I'm telling you, I wouldn't have had my accident if I would have. Well, even guys that tie in twice, there's those points where you're taking your lanyard off. Like, I got caught in the middle of those scary points. Like, I'm tying in twice every single cut. I have a tie-in point. I have my lanyard. I'm using them nonstop. But in a pinch there, what I did is I unclipped a tie-in point to reposition without before checking the only other one I have, and I just made a stupid mistake. I'm I'm like, I've got this beat. There's where it was. My guard was up. I put it down for a minute. I stopped being like, always check this. Before you take this off, look at this. It takes a second to go, okay, I shouldn't do it. My own stupidity. It happens, and it happens so quick. I just don't want to see. I don't want to see your families deal with the aftermath. I don't want to see none of you guys go through that shit either. Like, just not. It's unnecessary. One full nerd for a second. You're good, brother. I'm telling you, bucket. Yeah, dude, Rad Dad, bucket work. Like, there's techniques that I learned from doing bucket work that I use climbing now. Like, I don't. I just feel like on a daily basis, there's been times where I've had something happen, and it because climbing stuff and like solving those problems is always in the back of my head. Something happens during the day, or I see something, and it triggers something where I'm like, the spike ascender. That's it. Like, I seen a little gadget at a flea market. I had been thinking about the spike ascender for a while, coming up with a removable spike ascender. I had decided that I could use the hand ascender. I was trying to figure out how to mount it. I couldn't figure it out, but I'm like, this is going to work perfect. The hand ascender is going to work perfect. And I couldn't figure out how to mount it. I went to a flea market and I seen this little, like, manual grinder thing and how it was working. It kept grabbing the thing on the way, like, and pressing it and grabbing it and pressing it. And I'm like, that's it. That's it. If I keep the tension on it all times, I don't need to make it strong enough to hold the weight when you press down on the line. I only need to have it hold it as you lift your leg up the line, and it works. And I mean, you're not only gonna work like I just I think you could, if you stay a little open minded about some things, you can maybe learn something that keeps you out of a pickle. So I know that it's easy to be like, I know enough to get it done. I know a lot of people like that. I know people that have spent an entire lifetime going through life like that, and they made it through. They got it done. They did a lot of shit, but like, there was a lot of sketchy times, and a lot of heartache at times dealing with the outcomes. But dude, no bullshit. You know more than you're giving yourself credit for, ground pounder. Yeah, me. I think that's my go-to is the fisherman. I like an extra little wrap on it to triple fisherman. But for a termination knot, I like the circus knot. I mean, the alpine butterfly is nice. You know, you got your cross on that side, you got your parallels on that side. But I'm telling you, dude, you cannot beat the circus knot and how easy it is to untie after it's been under a massive load. But here's another tip. I don't know if if you're combining two ropes, which I found myself doing a lot here lately because my ropes are a little short, um, this is what I use. I just take a loop in the end of the rope, and I go in, around, and back in. And what you end up with is your ropes completely locked together. And I'm sure there's a way of locking these off. So that's what you end up with by doing that. And you have two clean ways of holding the rope. I just like put a couple half hitches onto it and tie it down and lock it into place like that. Put one on this end so it can't slip out, just for extra security. But that works so good, and it keeps really streamlined. And then when you're ready to undo it, it's pretty gravy. You just push the two together and pull them apart. I think it's called a sheep's bend. You're not friends with any tree guys where you live, really? Yeah, tree guys are a different crowd, man. I'm telling you, they're insecure a lot of times because they're the man where they're at, and in their little world, they're the man. So it's really hard for them to go outside of their little world. And when they see a competing world at times, it really gets to them. They can't help but hate instantly. But like, I'm too confident in myself to feel that way when I see another tree guy. I'm just too confident in myself. Like, you may have everything together. Like, you may be the most popular guy in the world, but like, I mean, I'm gonna hold my own anytime we're talking trees. I don't care who you are. If we're well, okay, if we're talking them, there's guys out there that can talk trees maybe better than me. But when it comes to getting the work done and solving ridiculously hard, puzzles, you know, I feel like I hold my own with anybody on the face of this earth, and I think a lot of you guys should feel that way. But maybe that's why I feel no reason to like talk down another guy for like that's local to me, or you know feel like if you're putting yourself out on the internet and you're making YouTube videos, like you're gonna be critiqued. So that's a bit of a different story. But like a local guy, I don't get that stuff. Where I have this one local dude that he revs his engine every time he goes by me and like does burnouts and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what happens to him when people do that to him, but it doesn't actually hurt me, and it doesn't even actually bother me. I don't care if you burn your clutch up or your truck up at all. Like, but I don't. Maybe he feels superior after he does a good revving of his truck and takes off. He's like, "Yeah, I revved him real good." You know what? If that does anything for him, I hope that he feels really good afterwards, because I didn't didn't do anything to me, and I didn't get any feeling from it. But I hope he gets something from it. But sometimes he's just some of these, especially the older heads, in my area, man, they don't, they're just hating, and I'm like, come on, man, what is your deal? Things were like that as I was young with my dad. Like guys were just they're just too competitive with each other, like the enemies almost. And it's like, what? Like, I would rather just be a resource, or you know, and know guys and get along with them. I mean, why not? But I don't know. Some people have different opinions. That's what happens with a lot of them, Chris. Ryan, what's going on? Okay, we need a climber union. No climber works under. My phone is so cracked up, I gotta move you guys' comments. Sometimes I can't even read them. Under a certain price, and if we get paid right there, would be rushing, but I see why people bid low. Some money is better than no money. Well, yeah, at times, Ryan. Like, at times. But I think you're doing yourself a disservice when you do that a lot of times. I think that those kind of things need to be reserved for those special customers and the people that have done, like, that. Those kind of things will happen for me. Like, if I see that, like, an elderly woman is in, she's not very well off, she's in dire need, that changes things. Like, but every time you bid one and you do one, you're building your resume. So what that person's doing is they're telling their cousin and their brother and their second aunt that, hey, you remember that big old oak tree I had in my front yard? Oh yeah, that big huge massive one. Yeah, I got a tree guy. He cut it down for $200. What? My tree's only half the size of that. You think he'll cut mine down for 100? Sure. So they have this expectation because of something you did for them. My opinion, if you're gonna do that kind of stuff, you need to make it very clear to that person that this is not normal. I'm doing this as a favor, or be straight up with them. I'm doing it to cut homeboy's throat at times. Like, I'm desperate right now, so normally I wouldn't do this, but I will do it for this. I can respect that more, but I've dealt with too many scummy people that are like, it's to this point in my area that the guys will chase other tree guys around and see where they're bidding jobs and then like write it down and follow them and immediately go to the people's house and knock on the door unannounced and say, hey, I heard that you were needing tree estimate. No, I didn't. I mean, yeah, actually, I just had a tree guy leave. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, can I? And they're only there to cut your throat. They'll follow you around just to do that. So, what did he say? I'll do it for this cheaper. Those kind of guys, there are repercussions for being scummy like that. It may be a few years down the road. It may be maybe years and years and years down the road. But it happens. I was done very, very wrong by someone who's very, very close to me and should have never done me wrong. But robbed me of over $5,000, worked me to death, and manipulate me and like just mentally screw me all the time out of money. It was always money, money, money. And I had a heart for the person because they were family. So I was more at times just wanting to help them. And they started to realize, oh, this idiot's got a big heart. You know what I can do? I can get this freaking idiot to do anything. He thinks people are good. He thinks people won't. Look how dumb he is. Watch what he do. Hey, man, I'm telling you, I'm like broke. I need to pay this bill. I don't know what I'm going to do, and the kids, and I got these loans I got to pay. So, man, is there any way you could maybe wait a little bit on your money? Absolutely. Yeah, I'll do that for you. Yeah, how long? What, like a week? No, like a month or so. What? Yeah, I mean, so what, how, is there any other way you can, everybody else ain't getting paid then. If you can't take the hit, then I might have to take it out of all their pay. So now not only do I feel bad for you, I gotta feel bad for all them other guys that break their back and work and help me and keep me safe and are part of my team, and you're gonna take it out on them. And oh, by the way, it's right before Christmas. So I don't trust anybody anymore. Initially, I'm very weary. So I've been wronged enough that you need to earn my trust. Especially if I can like somebody. The second money gets talked about, we are now reevaluating our friendship. When money becomes involved in our friendship, at any point, I then reevaluate and I start to worry. He was the greatest guy in the world before. Man, I hope he doesn't change now that money gets involved. Because a lot of times, it does change. And it's been maybe 6 years since I was wronged by the family member that I used to consider family that I don't anymore. Like I've wrote you off. Did me wrong enough that he thought I would beg for him to take me back, even though he robbed me of a bunch of money because he knew I didn't have anywhere to go. He knew that I didn't know, like I don't like dealing with people and like trying to figure like I'll suffer in a situation for the sake of things not having to change. And he's recently got his karma. It showed up for him finally. It took 6 years, but it showed up finally, and it's rough. Guys, I got so. Oh my God, you guys. Daniel, what's going on? And I'll find new friends. Sorry for being so blunt. No, no, I think that's just you kind of have to be. To do that. Yeah, not even a close friend. It was my uncle. I don't know if I've ever said that before, but yeah, it was my uncle. A guy that I look up to, my elder. And I find that I don't care if a guy is working below you on your crew. You may have an authority, but you need to respect him as your elder, no matter what. If he's older than you, he may be dumb as a box of rocks on that work site, but you need to respect him as your elder. And not only your elder, a guy that I thought was cool. I thought this guy's cool. Like he's the man. He's the fun uncle that like wants to do all the cool stuff and like wow was I wrong. Wow was I wrong. Hey, it is what it is, man. You know. I have the good luck of being able to cut someone that's that toxic in my life off. So and things have gotten really bad for homeboy to where he's begging me to help him. But I don't want to hear it. Don't come talk to me unless you got $5,000 in your hands. Don't ask me for nothing unless you got about $5,000 in your hands. Yeah, well, ground pounder. Yeah, it changes when it's physically. I think I terrify him. I know, but I have a old. I've been told more than times than I can count that I have an old soul. I have a respect for my elders, and the fact that my dad would be absolutely and utterly disappointed and disgusted with me if I put my hands on him. And he brought me to the point to where I almost did. So, like, that's what saved him. I would think And I think he looks at me as his nephew, his little nephew. And maybe that's how in his brain he can do me wrong. Oh, I don't know. To try to pretend like I understand a person's thought process that does things like that, I'll never understand that. But you know what, guys? We've went for 2 hours. I'm gonna catch up on comments, and I am gonna cut this one. Probably cut this one. We're like 2 hours deep, and I'm getting worn out. There's a whole bunch of stuff here. I want to name some channels for you guys to check out. So if you get bored and you get time, go check them out. JLM Tree Service. That guy's trying to build a tree channel, and he seems to really like climbing. So if you like a more of a country style, go check that out. Breaking news: Steve bought a 390 XP, and he doesn't know anyone else that could get this or anywhere. It turns out you can get them everywhere, but just so you know, he made a video, so go check that out. Go to Woodroy TV's channel. He just put a video out. Game of Trees. You know, the Sun just did a video where he climbs. I don't know if I'm a fan. Maybe I am. Maybe it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't know. I just, I don't know. I'm going to reserve my opinion until I see a little more. But, like, yeah, dude's a good climber, his son, but I don't think it's a dude I would ever, like hang out with. But a channel that I've seen that's came back up and have been putting out videos here recently that I'm stoked about is Treesus Bartleby. Treesus is spelled Treesus. Bartleby is Bartelby. He put out a video, tree truck for tree cut, tool walkthrough, shooting rambles, episode 2. He went to a auto salvage yard, Windy Hills. He's a funny guy. He's got a hell of a sense of humor. Then he put out another video, I think it was episode 1 of Shooting Rambles, where he shows his gear. And I think in the video he says he uses a variation of the French Prusik, not on his like hitch climber setup. He uses a Pinto pulley though. But I think what he was using there is the XT, which is the VT knot with a twist on the back that gets you a little more like bounce up and spring into the system of knots and causes a little additional friction. Brandy, jeez man, I'm getting tired. Brandon, Rusty's Tree Service, put out a video, hard working in the front of a subdivision. Moved he removed 5 pine trees in it. It was like 26 degrees. Homie's still getting this stuff done. And I appreciate the fact that he is accurate and doesn't feel the need to embellish what he's doing just for the sake of YouTube. So I like Brandon. He's a straight shooter. Peter Shea put out a video, robotic tree removal, where he used they used a mechanized grapple saw, and was cool. Those things are insane. Zacchaeus put out super hazardous dead tree removal, something like that. And I think even with as smart as he is, he needs maybe I seen him talking in this tree because he had a tree that had a crack in it. It was splitting. So he thought he couldn't do much for rigging. And his scenario there is one of them scenarios where you need that setup where you're bringing those two together like we talked about. But even as smart as that guy is, I think he's smart enough to know that he doesn't know everything. So he's always learning more. And that's why I like Zacchaeus. So Chicanik put out a video of a poolin. She calls it a poolin. I call them Polans, but she calls it a poolin, where she went out to her junk pile, found a chainsaw box, opened it up, found this chainsaw, got it running, and yeah, that was impressive. Really cool. I got a bunch of shit from Metal and Wood, but I'm not wasting my time on him. I'm gonna give you guys a free week and not do that. But let's just say there's been a saga about Walboro carburetors where he's went around telling people that he's got a genuine Walboro, carburetor in his 2.7. Like he's, dude, if you everything else about your saw is a Chinese knockoff part, I don't care if it says Walboro or not. I don't trust that it is. It's probably a knockoff. So it turns out Steve's bought a whole bunch of knockoff Walboro carburetors. I don't believe him when he says that he's had this specialist look at them and this. And Jawa told you that's not real, Steve. It don't act right. It don't run right. I see Steve paying, like, okay, he's got some dude reviewing all of his chainsaws. I don't know what that's all about. I don't know what they got going on. I don't know if the guy got a free chainsaw. I don't know if the guy got paid. But everyone who reviews Steve's stuff, and Steve himself puts out nonstop videos, I don't give a damn what it looks like and what you consider to be quality. I care about how it performs and how it lasts. So basically just performance over a period of time. That's all I care about. And that's all he should worry about is showing people that these things perform. And starting a chainsaw and then turning it off is not that. Guys, I don't want to bore you anymore with that shit. I'm behind 50. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm sorry. I gotta jump down to the bottom of the comments. I'm too far behind. I can't read them that fast, especially with my cracked up screen. So if you said anything that you feel is important, like tell me again. I'm sorry. You're the man, John Bob. John Bob, you're hilarious. Joseph, I'm in Michigan. I'm not at liberty to tell you where Jono's. Dumbest mofo in the game right there. 100%. Sorry, but clone saws aren't for professionals. I don't know, dude. He says, dude, he has thousands of chainsaws and years, decades of experience and time on them. I mean, you heard him. Guys, Merry Christmas. I hope you guys have, I hope you and your families have the best Christmas. You guys have been beyond amazing to me this entire year. I want to thank you for your time that you give me, your attention that you give me, and you guys have got me through some things that maybe you won't understand. But Jesus Christ, I just read your comment and threw me off, dude. Thank you. Just thank you for everything. And if I can help you, I'm always here, guys. Thanks again. I will I'll get back to editing. I'll get you some more videos up. But yeah. I appreciate the crew we got. Thank you guys. Have a Merry Christmas.